Hey, what's up, y'all? This could be either a why I love sneakers, or it could be an insider ties where I talk about business opportunities. If you're looking to my side here, you see Pensole Lewis College's website. And if you don't know what Pensole is, it began in Portland, and Dr. Dwayne Edwards created the school to basically create diversity in the design of sneakers in the sneaker industry. So it operated out of Portland for a very long time, and it moved to Detroit when it had the opportunity to reopen a historically black college. Now, I'm pretty sure if you're on this station, you know everything there is to know about Pensole Lewis College. If you don't, I'm going to put the link in the description below so you can click through and read about it, because there's so many people who want to open sneaker companies. And I'm very big on the fact that a sneaker has to solve a problem. We have so many big brands out there and smaller big brands and then smaller brands after that, that creating a sneaker company tends to become a vanity project. If there's a shoe that you want, more than likely it already exists. In certain instances, like when I did the Antiques video, they solved a problem that no one had really been working on, but they did it unintentionally. It was something that I saw in that company that made me say, yo, I'm going to write about them, or I'm going to talk about them. In the past, I simply kind of bought into this idea of everyone should be able to create a shoe. Although as a former sneaker company owner myself, I no longer feel that way. I feel like if you are a creative, then spend your time figuring out how to be a creative with companies that already exist. Now, it's not fair for me to do that because at some point Nike didn't exist. They were selling Tiger, Asics, right? Onitsuka Tiger shoes. Everyone deserves an opportunity to create something great and bigger than themselves. But even for a company like Nike, they solved a problem. And when you solve a problem, your longevity becomes true. It increases, right? So Pensole Lewis College just became one of the most important colleges in the country because of manufacturing and reshoring. Now, you notice I'll talk about a company like COMUNITymade and Vining. I'm trying to remember the name of it, Viking. They actually make last in the U.S. I wrote an article about that the other day. But Pensole collaborated with their partner in Designer Brands. Designer Brands owns DSW, right? So you know DSW as kind of like an off-price retail, but it's not off-price in the sense that the stuff is cheap. It's simply a warehouse location where you can buy footwear at a better price. Well, Designer Brands invested almost $2 million over that amount because they just, and it's not on the Pensole site right now, and I'm trying to just scroll through it. They just, I'm kind of overwhelmed because in 2004 when I started working with Showshot and I made those shoes and I got those shoes imported and I had 1,200 pairs sitting in my garage. I was struggling to sell the shoes. In 2009 when I did Arch, man, things have been so difficult. And now all of these new creators have the ability to create shoes simply by going to Taobao or connecting with a overseas agent on WeChat. And it's so much easier now. But in the process of people having it easy, a lot of bootlegs, copying, things have taken place. Let me just jump over to what I'm emotional about. So here I am being emotional, and you guys are probably like, stop being emotional. What are you talking about? This is what I'm talking about. Over here to my side, JEMS by Pensole. JEMS by Pensole is the first manufacturing company in the U.S. founded by a black person. All right. There are companies that produce shoes in the U.S. You know New Balance assembles sneakers here in the U.S. Did you know that, and I'm going to get to this later, so I won't even bring it up now, but JEMS by Pensole, as you read right here, is founded by Dr. Dwayne Edwards. Now, this could also have been jobs of interest now available, a join post, because JEMS by Pensole is hiring. So I click that and I go down to it. They have a couple of positions open: stitching operator, footwear assembly tech. JEMS is reshoring, and they're bringing manufacturing back to the U.S., and it's founded by a black man, and he used JEMS as an acronym, Jenner Smatzelager, a black immigrant who in 1883 revolutionized shoe manufacturing. This story isn't taking off in sneaker culture. If you go to sneaker websites right now, nobody's talking about this. And it's disheartening, because this is potentially one of the biggest moments in footwear. It's not potentially. It is one of the biggest moments in footwear. Footwear manufacturing left the country. I mean, when you start thinking about companies that kind of created this move of offshoring manufacturing, the United States became a weaker country, man, because we weren't making things anymore. And here it is. Pensole is launching JEMS. So in typical fashion, I always have to find out more information. So I wrote Dr. Edwards, and I just sent him a ton of questions. And I'm going to present these questions here in this video so you guys can see what I asked, and you can pull from it what you choose. So let's get into those questions right now. All right, so here are the questions. Now, Dr. Edwards is extremely busy. This factory opens in April. That's less than 10 days away. They're going to go into production, and that's a really important thing. So I know I need to make this a bit smaller, and I will. And that way you can see the outline here. And I'll just put a bubble for the questions so you can see them. And the first question I asked was, how many shoes per month will the facility be able to produce? And Dr. Edwards responded, at full capacity, we will be able to produce 20,000 pairs a month. That's huge. That's huge. And I know by comparison, it's small. But the fact that an American manufacturer will be able to produce that amount of shoes is a game changer. That's huge. Huge. Next question. Will JEMS focus more on quality versus quantity? And if so, how much will the average sneaker from JEMS cost? Considering companies like COMUNITYmade are making footwear with KX Labs on the West Coast, and those shoes average a price around $200 to $300 a pair, will JEMS actually make sneakers that can be sold at a slightly better price? Dr. Edwards, everything I do is quality versus quantity. Pensole Lewis College is focused on better, not more. JEMS will be the same while trying new crafted construction techniques that reduce traditional labor by 50%. Price-wise, we will range from $175 on up, but we're working on a project that will be way less than $100. All right, so this is not one of the questions. I'm breaking away from the discussion just to make you guys understand something. This may be the moment of disruption that the sneaker industry has needed to remove the control of the major brands in dominating footwear. See, what happens in certain situations when you have sneaker companies that are capable of just pumping out $8 billion into marketing or $1 billion into marketing, there's nothing a smaller brand can do to offset or gain the attention of the consumer. So when you begin to look at, and I'm going to click back over to this question, when you begin to look at the idea that an American-made manufacturer may be able to go and create a shoe at 100, it changes everything. Everything. Let's keep going here. Next question was, how soon will the facility be in operation? April, and that's how I knew it was April. Will the footwear be made with more sustainable materials? And this was an important question to me because making footwear in the U.S. solves one problem. It removes the need to ship by container and to produce overseas without the oversight that is creating issues for a company like Adidas, where they are being hit for paying low wages to workers in foreign countries. Pensole JEMS is able to do a lot more faster. Now, that's not even in the questions, but they can because they are here. They brought this reshoring process is extremely critical to the empowerment of the U.S. Everybody's worried about AI, chatbots, and all these, Chat GPT. Physically making things, I think it's going to return to importance. Remember I said that. And here's his answer on, will footwear be made more sustainable with more sustainable materials? Yes, and sustainable manufacturing methods. Our goal is not to make any claims around sustainability because we feel we should just make the shoe the right way. Love that answer. Fifth question here. Will JEMS be able to produce performance footwear? Now, this was a big question for me because I think in order for companies to grow, you have to have some research and development and performance aspects. Not JEMS in New Hampshire, but JEMS. And I love it when Dr. Edwards does this because when I send him interview questions, he will ellipse, ... And that implies that there's something else in the works. And I can't wait to see what's in the works because this is big enough by itself. But next question, will there be an educational aspect focused on the method of make and design process? I asked this question as Pensole has had ideas appropriated by companies like We Are Underdogs. So when Pensole was in Portland and they came up with the sneaker championship and the winner was producing shoes, they connected with a team in Portugal. And I'm giving this history because Pensole would never do this. They'd never deliver this history, but there's a company called We Are Underdogs, and that company took the concept that Pensole created, and they started to work with the designers that were graduating from the program to make different shoes. That concept from Portugal takes too long to implement. Now that Pensole has JEMS, they will be able to they will be able to take their original idea and implement it in a better and faster method. I love that. I actually bought shoes from We Are Underdogs because I was like, oh, those students went to Pensole, so I bought a pair of shoes. Now, I haven't done a video on those. I don't think I have. I should do one, but this is an important aspect of control. And this is why Dr. Edwards is extremely intent on creating this opportunity for designers and BIPOC. Very important stuff. And his answer in regard to the educational aspect, yes, all designers will partner with JEMS. We'll have to go through a PLC entrepreneurship program that outlines their collection, direction, not just design, but the business. Remember, Pensole Lewis College exists to create a better trained design workforce. This is good, man. At PLC, we teach the professional product creation process, and our goal is to curate the brands we partner with to ensure they are set up for success. Next question. Will JEMS produce footwear only for designer brands? Designer Brands is our partner in JEMS, with the first few collections being sold through DSW and gemsbypensole.com. So they'll have an omni-channel presence. You'll be able to buy it at Gems by Pensole, and you'll be able to buy it inside of DSW, which is important because then you'll get to try on. And it's one of those things that online or pure play brands have a problem with, and that is allowing people to try on the product in person. And DSW gives Gems by Pensole that opportunity. We will eventually create additional retail and brand collaborations, but we want to control our growth by curating our brands and distribution. Extremely, extremely important stuff. Next question. Will the end of life of all footwear created at JEMS be taken into consideration? Now, this is a question about sustainability and if shoes will be able to biodegrade. It's a difficult question for anyone to answer because it implies that you will not be using certain materials to create your shoes. Now, JEMS would have to get on the list of a company like Natural Fiber Welding and be able to use that product, and then they would have to figure out the outsole material, which Natural Fiber Welding isn't simply putting that out there everywhere. I'd love for those two to partner, and that would be great, but that's going to take time. So his response to that question was, not initially, but it's something we will consider at the beginning of the process. So when they are building, they are going to try to make it the best way they can. Hopefully that'll mean less toxic glues, which since the manufacturing is taking place in the US, more than likely the cobblers, the people who are hiring, the stitch pattern people, all of those folks will have, you can't get away with things in the US that you can get away with hidden in a factory over in Asia. Period. All right, so I asked him about a company like Sneaker Impact and if they can partner with them to take care of damaged shoes. I'm going to move past that question and go to a couple of less intense questions. And the first one was, what will be the first release from JEMS featured at DSW? And this is the answer. We want to make JEMS a brand, so I will do the first 2 to 3 styles under the JEMS brand. I have a few ideas I want to release and I've been holding on to for a few decades. Oh my gosh. My style is to try new constructions and details not commonly used in our industry. He's being intentionally vague here and I don't blame him. Keep it under the hat because there's something in sneaker culture that I hate, and that's the idea that you can know what shoe is going to come out in 2024. I don't need that information this soon because it diminishes the power of the company to highlight what's happening. I hate that. So I'm glad he actually did that. I do ask again about the educational aspect of Pensole. And I asked about it in regard to OJT and PJT in the military. So when I was in the military, I worked on F-14. So we got to go to VF-124, which is Top Gun, and you get to work on jets. And it was on-the-job training, and you would get practical training. So that was for aviation electricians or anyone who was in the Navy that needed to learn how to repair the jets. So I asked him if there was going to be an OJT and PJT aspect of what was happening with JEMS, because JEMS is the manufacturing and Pensole Lewis College is the college. It's, I'm trying to figure out how those things are going to work together because JEMS as a business can explode in value very quickly. Pensole as a college is always going to be on the educational side. So I asked him if they were going to do an OJT, PJT type thing and maybe have dorms out at JEMS. And he says, yes. I like to do things in a new way through PLC JEMS. They'll offer classes in Detroit and Boston. The goal is to first create programs for JEMS at JEMS, for jobs at JEMS, then roll into entrepreneurship programs in Detroit and global talent searches. Really good information, man. And I asked, how do you see JEMS shaping how the sneaker industry operates? And this is Dr. Edwards' response. I can't share all our secrets, but JEMS simply gives aspiring Black designers more options, retailers more options, consumers more options, and the industry more diversity. So that's the fact that I couldn't explain or tell you a Black manufacturer. And like I said, I went through the process of making a ton of shoes, and everything was done in Asia, in China, as a matter of fact. Man, to go back 12 to 15 to 20 years even, 19 years, and get to start it all over again and do it with JEMS, it would be life-changing for me. Life-changing. But instead, it's life-changing for you. If you're a younger person watching this, man, this is one of those opportunities that simply it doesn't come along very often. And now that it's here, there should be more coverage and more talk about it. All right, so here are the really tough questions that I had to ask. Adidas tried to bring manufacturing to the U.S. with Speedfactory, and close the facility in 2 years. How will GEMS do what a billion-dollar corporation failed at? Dr. Edwards, I can't speak on Adidas's business model, but our focus is on providing consumers more diverse options than what they currently have. GEMS was created to do what is currently not being done. And if we are less than 1% of footwear brands being black, that leaves a lot of room for success to happen. We are the culture this industry is targeting, but there's not enough of us creating and owning the culture we create. It's a good answer. It's a good answer. I really wanted to get into the Speedfactory thing and the fact that it closed after 2 years. I hope that GEMS does not encounter the same situation. And this is why I'm saying that. The consumer is used to cheap. Making in the U.S. is not cheap. At a minimum, made in the U.S. should be around $150 to $175. Now, people are used to buying name Jordan Boost products in that premium price point. But if GEMS is new and there's new designers, then there's going to have to be a lot of education for people to understand why a shoe costs $250 versus $100. You're not going to be able to grab everyone. So the idea that they're only producing around 20,000 shoes per month, it's perfect. It's perfect. It's perfect. And that's going to help considerably. My last question. Nike also attempted to make in the U.S. with Express Lane, but they adapted Express Lane to simply speed up the design process with prototyping only. Dr. Edwards responds, I can't speak on Nike's business model. At GEMS, we have a very clear focus with the industry knowledge, partnerships, and cultural expertise that gives us a unique value proposition. To be clear, GEMS is not a competitor to Nike, Adidas, or New Balance, and New Balance also manufactures sneakers in the U.S. GEMS is another option for someone to have in their closet if they agree with our vision for why GEMS was created or simply like what we create. Those are my questions. I hope this gives you guys some insight into GEMS, Pensole Lewis College, a moment. This is a moment. And man, it's an amazing moment. See you guys on the next one. If you have questions on this, then I can get them to Dr. Edwards. You can send them to me. I hope this was informative, and I hope you guys are really taking the time to love sneaker culture and learn more. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.